I'm Philip.
And I'm Justin.
And together, we are Pajamas. And we're here. Episode 9, Season 2, Doctor Who. We get to find out the finale of Doctor Who versus
Satan!
Is it going to stick the landing? After a bit of an auspicious start for me, at least. We'll find out. Are you...
I'm ready.
Yeah. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. Please don't ruin Doctor Who versus Satan. Because it's such a cool concept.
All I've got is a bolt gun with all of one bolt.
It said Satan.
Come on, Rose, keep it together.
Doctor, tell me there's no such thing.
I'm initiating strategy 9, so I need the two of you back up top immediately. No.
Why is it still hiding?
Maybe we opened the prison but not the cell. That is so human. Where angels fear to tread. For once in my life, I'm going to say, retreat.
Are you going to start shooting your own people now? Is that what you're going to do? Well, then you'll have to shoot me if necessary, so what's it going to be?
Do it.
What's strategy 9?
Open the airlocks, the Yud will get thrown out into the vacuum.
This is Captain Zachary Crossflame of Sanctuary Base 6, representing the Torchwood Archive.
Church of the Tin Vagabond, which devil are you?
All of them,
The Virgin.
who will die in battle so very soon. And I will live.
What the hell was that? If we can use that to fight against
Okay, now the TARDIS has to be down there. Just chilling. It has to be. I called it last episode.
They're stuck down there.
Control the base, the sooner we can get the Doctor out. Now get going. Sure.
I'm just gonna go to
We've got all this
the
cable.
hole and stand there and look down.
Use it.
Try to boss everybody else around.
John's disconnected, we can adapt it.
We haven't got them on board.
Well, that's handy. Listen, things we haven't got. We haven't got a swimming pool either. Nor a Tesco's. Mr. Jefferson, sir. Anywhere out?
Just about. There's a network of maintenance tunnels run.
Not your best angle, Danny.
Oi! Stop it!
No, could be worse.
Oi!
We've got to aerate it.
Open it now!
I'm trying.
Help me! Oh my God, help me!
That thing that said it came from beyond the universe, I'd believe it, but before the universe doesn't fit my rule.
Did that one just move?
It's the telepathic field. It's reasserting itself.
We're out of it yet. Still the first people in history to fly away from a black hole.
If I destroy this planet, I destroy the gravity field. The rocket loses protection, falls into the black hole.
Unless it wanted us to escape.
Hey, Rose, do us a favour. Shut up.
If I believe in one thing, I believe in her.
I am the sin and the fear and the darkness.
Go to hell.
Called it. Called it.
Can we do a swap? Say if you give me Rose Tyler, I'll give you Ida Scott. How about that?
She's alive!
Yay. She lived.
I was thinking of how it could have ended another way, but I'm afraid that, well, they're going to have to rely on serendipity.
Yeah.
It seemed like things happened a little too conveniently.
Yeah, we discussed that the last episode. Like, I'm not mad at it, but I did call it. I did predict it.
And exactly how did it get in there while...
The thing was closed.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was sealed,
Yeah.
so how could it have possibly gone in?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I should be mad at it. I should be really irritated and annoyed. I'm not. I think it's just I've accepted this is the way that things happen in this universe. And I just have to accept it. But this is the first one that was like, this doesn't make logical sense.
Especially since if this being knows what the thoughts of all of these other beings are, then surely it would know what they're planning, and thus could already make another plan to stop the previous plan.
I think it was banking on its current plan of escaping in the rocket. Like it didn't need to anymore. I think that was just hubris.
Yes,
That did it in.
Yes, there is that, but also while they were on the planet, trying to plan their escape.
What do you mean?
Well, could it have easily read their minds of what they were going to do about the transmission to have the Ood then get shocked?
I did write in my notes that, like, why would the devil let his minions die? I mean, they didn't die. I thought they were dead at first. They were just predisposed for a little bit. But I think that they were a nice distraction for the devil to carry out its plan. Is what I'm gathering. That's why I wrote, oh, okay, never mind. All my notes as well, once I figured out what was going on. I think, like most minions, they were disposable.
Yes, that is true.
So I think that once the devil realized what was going on, it thought it was playing chess, and moving the pieces where it needed to not checkmate, but to escape, like into the route out. So all that I can see why all that happened and all that stuff. But the TARDIS being down there under a sealed door in the last minute, last 2 minutes of the episode was a little, like a bit of a heavy thumb.
How convenient.
Just a little too, like, escape. Like, I knew it was going to happen. I think they could have went about it with a little more finesse. But this episode really wasn't about finesse. It was about Satan and big horn demon thing and consciousness and faith and belief and all that stuff. So I do like the idea of faith versus what the Doctor knows and is willing or unwilling to accept. I like the idea of that the Doctor is a Time Lord. So before the universe existed is not plausible to him.
Of course.
Because there's no time then. There's nothing to be Lord of if it doesn't exist. So that's just incongruent with the Doctor's own belief structure.
It is very interesting that at least there are some things, it's very rare, but it shows that the Doctor doesn't really know everything, that there are some things that are even beyond his comprehension.
To a degree, I think the Doctor's also, especially this portrayal by Tennant, is extremely arrogant. But I've often noticed that the Doctor's hypothesis is always the correct solution, because the Doctor was postulating down in the pit of what all that meant, But what if he was wrong? That was just an idea. But his ideas are always right. It's like, what if it wasn't, though? What if, like, the worst line in probably the entire season to me, I'm sorry, we can agree to disagree if you want, but I believe in her? Come the fuck on.
Somehow I thought that you would say that.
Like, no. A narcissistic, moody, emotional, possessive, just so many horrible traits, selfish, self-absorbed, self-serving. I'm supposed to believe that's the crux of his like belief system now. He's going to sacrifice possibly himself and her because he believes in her. Just because she happened to shoot out a window to let Marker Face escape or out there, and then they somehow lived with no oxygen for like 30 seconds before the captain lowered or raised the shield again. Like, there's too much in sports. It's called a Hail Mary, where the quarterback just throws the football down the field in the hopes that the wide receiver catches it and goes for the touchdown. But the doctor always nails the Hail Marys. Always. And I so while the writing wasn't as this time overall, like no more like the ood, well that's not ood. Like none of that shit. It's still heavy-handed and it's still just that was such an awful line and cringe. So much cringe. And I'm sure Whovians out there can defend it and she's not the first companion. She's probably not even the best companion. So they could have wrote that any other way than saying, I believe in her. Like, no.
How about that he believes in humanity?
That would have
been a much better one, and
yeah.
She is simply one example of many of humanity.
And that would have worked, because he does have an affinity for the human race. How many times in episodes does he talk about how great humans are? Like, yes, we're silly and reactionary, and we follow our primal instincts too much. But at the heart of it, he loves humans. He loves the human race. So yeah, that would have been perfect. I believe in humanity, because he just got done saying how great humans were, even though we're silly. It's our, incessant need for all these things that makes us great. And we've heard the humans are a great speech from the Doctor many times, going back to season 1 to the previous Doctor. So that thread would have worked because it has been woven through the episodes from season 1 to season 2. I believe in her is some neo-romantic, no basis, in my opinion, at all. Like, it's just malarkey, to put it in a very polite and respectable way. Malarkey. It's ridiculous. And if you can agree with it, if you can defend it, if you can see it, more power to you. I think it is insulting to think they would put all of that on the line under that context. And then, ta-da, there's the TARDIS. Like, the last 5 minutes really, stabbed itself in the back. Because while, yes, I didn't like the costuming or Marker Face, the story I thought was really intriguing.
Oh yes, I especially liked the story, but the ending did seem a bit quickly put together.
Yeah. And lots of Hail Marys. Lots of, I guess one could say it was acts of faith, which played into the episode, faith, and the idea of faith. But it was a little too heavy-handed. Not just in the writing and all the stuff I complained about in the last episode, but it's like the last 5 minutes really touched upon Doctor Who's worst tendencies all at once. The hero worship of Rose. the convenience of things happening, and this time didn't make a lot of sense. If you know why the TARDIS was in the sealed pit, maybe we overlooked something. That could totally be possible. Maybe the TARDIS can teleport through things. I mean, I assume that the Doctor would have to be there to operate it, but maybe the TARDIS was like, I'm falling, falls through the hole, or through the... I don't know. But that bothers me even less than I believe in her. She's not worth it. Her character is not worth that much reverence to me. And if you see her that way, as said, more power to you. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. Obviously, it's just opinion. So, but I think it was easily, without hyperbole, the worst line so far in the show. So let's go through some of my notes. In the beginning, they were like, the devil's angry and mad and, rage. Like, yeah, I'd be mad too if I had to be represented by fucking Marker Face.
They never really did decipher any.
Yeah, there's so much.
There was a bit of the plot that was... It seemed as if they were going towards figuring out how to decipher what it was that was being written. But they never did get to it.
We haven't really resolved much of anything yet. And then it was like, clean it up. So sweep it under the rug. Okay, we're done. The end. I thought this was going to be a 3-parter. And I thought to myself, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with the devil escapes. The Doctor then gets the TARDIS somehow differently, and then has to track down the devil and Rose and the captain, and then the other dude. And wherever they're going, we have a chase scene. And that would have been awesome. I would have much rather had a 3rd part to this story, where it plays out farther rather than, oh wow, the TARDIS, I believe in her, kapow, bam, devil flies out the window, we don't die somehow, TARDIS saves us, the end. But that is to say, I didn't hate the episode. I'm not mad at the episode. I like if the idea wasn't so strong of faith and the devil and belief and the sigils and what it all meant, because I thought they were going somewhere too when the guy was going to try and decipher it, because he was sitting there writing his little book.
And it probably would have helped if that could be somehow communicated to the Doctor to know that he's reading the images on the walls correctly.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Imagine, for example, mistakes that probably were made before the Egyptian hieroglyphs were deciphered and people saw these images on the wall of what they were supposed to mean.
Yeah, like the Doctor's looking at the map, but the scientist or the archaeologist has the key to the map. He's the map key to decipher what the map means. But no, the Doctor just automatically assumed this is what it meant, and the Doctor was right, because, of course. It's lazy writing. It's lazy... I'm sorry, it's lazy... The TARDIS being there is lazy writing. And using Rose as this, all this Mary figure, I guess, to go religious with it, it's not earned, and it's lazy writing.
And somehow knowing that the vases needed to be broken.
Exactly,
somehow.
Yeah, I saw nothing on the wall said that the Doctor hypothesized it, so it had to have been correct, because the Doctor is never wrong. He doesn't have hunches, he just has correct ideas all the time. And I usually don't mind. I haven't minded it. I haven't complained about it, really. We've called it out here and there. But this episode especially this episode, last half of this episode was just, as said, the issues with Doctor Who under a microscope. From all the stuff I had already complained about and talked about to what you're saying. All they had to do, like he said, was use the archaeologist deciphering the writing, the sigils, whatever, feed that information to the Doctor, and there you have a bridge there. The plot makes sense on this end, and the plot makes sense on this end, and then it all flows together. Should I break the pots? Yes, but if you do, this will happen. Okay, now I understand that I should possibly do this, and what the consequences are, instead of just inferring everything and being right all the time. So yeah, what you said is dead on, yeah.
All that I gathered from the images was that they were of importance. But that's a very vague thing. Yes, they're of importance, but what are they for?
Yeah. They could have had the soul of the devil in there. For all we knew, they could have been It could have been anything. Like it was like Schrodinger's vase. Anything like there was so much potential. I think that's what the problem is. There was so much potential with this idea, and they were exploring it in a very cool way, as I talked about in the last episode. Like, and again, it's odd because I guess yes, I'm annoyed, obviously. Yes, I'm bothered, but again, I did not dislike the episode, and I would not say this is one of my least favorite episodes of all time either. It has one of my least favorite moments of all time, but I think the idea was strong enough, and it's a big idea to take on. Like you have the science fiction show taking on the idea of faith and Satan and evil and the original evil that all the other ones are predicated on. That's some heavy stuff. So I give the writer credit for, wanting to incorporate this into this kind of universe. Especially with the Doctor being a Time Lord and time in the universe and all of that, like we discussed. But
they were also consistent in keeping with his scientific method of figuring things out. Note that he didn't use any black magic or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
He thought his way to the conclusion. He thought his way to escape.
Well, the devil?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so and that's the devil would be clever. The devil would be calculating. Of course, yeah. I mean, all that made sense. I liked it. I did. But there are some problems in this episode. Back to my notes. I thought, why can a space door be broken into by simple bolt cutters? Like, these are space doors. They should be, like, welded. Like, you need, like, a blowtorch. And this is just me seeing things I think are weird. I'm not saying it's good or bad. Like, and then the one dude, open it now! Open it now! You need fucking oxygen, you moron! Shut the fuck up!
And the more excited that he gets, the less oxygen that there's going to be. So it's actually probably best if he tried to stay as calm as possible. Yes, even though the Ood are coming after them, which I was waiting for because it seemed like it was too convenient that they were making their escape through this tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, if Satan can read minds, then he can probably read what they were planning to do and would have already had at least some Ood go in and try to chase them.
See, I don't have a problem with any of that. I think that all works out just because the devil, this Satan entity, I think it was all calculated. It was all calculated risk. They were merely a distraction. And the end goal was for the devil to escape. So I think what the Ood did was fine, because they bought them time, they gave them panic, they made them react in a way that the devil's plan did work. Until...
And I suppose that if you take the factor of the unpredictability of humanity as one other aspect of humanity, then I suppose that maybe it works, but it still seemed like it was too easy.
Yeah, I agree with that. Then Rose is all like, but he's clean now, leave him alone. And I was like, yeah, he was clean before too, and then he was repossessed again. I said I like the idea of faith with the original devil, the one that spawned all the myth throughout all the religions. But then I was like, how in the fuck did people trap that? And I use people, like a race of people or whatever, a group of people, whatever. Not humans, just take people in the
abstract sense.
Yeah, the most vague construct possible. I think it was like huge. And he had chains on his horns. How the hell did they capture that? I want to see that origin story. I want to see the battle between these, before the universe was the universe, people and the devil, and how they captured it into this pit. Like, something that can read minds and take its consciousness from itself to something else. Like, how did they win? How?
Yes, interestingly, he didn't go from the archaeologist to the captain when going from one to the other, or even going into Rose. That he would then... He would notice, she's causing some trouble, telepath into her, and make her not be able to speak.
Again, that would have been a better way to write that. I think there's some good structural bones here for the story. It just needed tweaked here and there. And again, another idea that you had would have been better, I think. have him use his like telepathy and his magic powers, his magic mind powers. He's calculated this far. Calculate some more. Like you're almost there. Do it in a way that it's not like him turning into marker face again was stupid. Do it with subterfuge. Do it with like on the down low. And that way when the doctor saves everyone, then you're free. Don't tell Rose to shut up. Just let her be stupid. And
which shouldn't be difficult.
Talked about the Before the Universe, the implications of Before the Universe to the Time Lord, how it's just like a construct of impossibility. I wish they'd explored that a little more, because I really like that idea a lot.
Yes, of whose impossibility? Well, according to him, and well, who is he?
Exactly, yeah. She did live, and I was happy she lived. The other lady with the doctor and down below. I was like, but if you're going to die anyway, just jump into the pit. Why not? Like, the doctor lived because he deduced that the people that made it wanted him to.
And somehow he was able to breathe. That actually is something interesting. How is it that there was breathable air inside of this abyss, but yet not up there? Maybe it could be a lack of atmosphere, but that would only explain why there isn't any up there. Why not in here?
Because that's what the people that built the prison wanted. Didn't you watch the episode? Doesn't it make sense to you? It's just cuz. Cuz is the reason. Cuz. Why did it happen? Because.
And now that's getting into the bad side of what faith can lead to.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. And everything else I talked about already. I did like the line he says something to the extent of, I have to accept that you exist, but not what you represent. Something along those lines. Again, I really wish they'd explored that idea of the doctor's own theology, an own belief structure versus what he was seeing and experiencing. We touched on it. I think they could have done a lot more.
To have at least one character respond with, what do you mean by that? And then he could elaborate a bit more to a very interesting philosophical soliloquy.
Yeah. No, I think it was just like they were treating it like a puddle, but it could have been, this lake, this very deep and wide lake that they could have. I've kind of felt the whole plot in a way. It was on the surface, it was okay, and like I said, it was very heavy material to tackle for a sci-fi show. But there was just so much. Like, don't introduce things into a universe. Well, no, I can't say don't do it because that's arrogant of me to say. But maybe it's not the best thing to introduce things to a universe that could be expanded upon, and if expanded upon, make your story better. From deciphering the sigils to using your powers correctly, taking over Rose. There's just little tweaks you could have done, or and the idea that have the doctor have a crisis of faith himself instead of being arrogant and all-knowing and omnipotent and omniscient all the time. Have this be him questioning his own, like, okay, if you say you came before time, yes, you could just be saying that too, because the god of lies and all that stuff. But it could have been a perfect opportunity for the doctor to question his own belief structure. The devil said, you killed your people. That should have rattled him to some degree, I think, personally. And it just falls back into everyone else is bothered by what the devil said to them, except the doctor. When it's been shown in the past that the doctor has blatant, I won't say PTSD type reactions to what happened between him, his people, and the Daleks. It's bothered him in the past. When the Daleks bring it up to the first doctor that we saw, it moved him. It angered him. But now that this devil creature figure that really shouldn't exist in his, I guess in his scope of the universe, and the way that the devil says it does, says it, and he's just like, it's just like, tone down. Like, this was a perfect opportunity to have the doctor just have a crisis of conscience, a crisis of faith, a crisis of self, of identity. Like, there was so much more they could have done here. I wish they had. I really wish they had. I think it would have been a better episode for it. And the last part of my notes are for my patrons, so that is all for the notes from Doctor Who. Overall, this episode was like a dartboard. They threw the dart. It landed on the board, but not nearly as close to the bullseye as it could have been. And I think if we were able to tweak it on the fly in a matter of minutes, I think if they just sat down and hashed some things out, it could have told the story a little better. But again, I do give respect to the series and to the writer and the show for tackling the mythos of the devil. Like, I would not have seen that coming. And that side of things, I respect it. And it's that respect that's not making me absolutely just be bothered by so much of the other stuff that I have ranted about in this review part. So, yeah.
Like, I suppose, religion in general, this episode actually, for example, I would have a question, it's providing an answer, but that answer, well, it's leaving me with even more questions.
Yeah, the ultimate answer is just accept it. Have faith. Blind faith. Which can be correlated to fandom and to the love of something. If you love something enough, you will blindly be loyal to it.
But how do you know whether or not that is something worth having faith in?
I've noticed that growing up Baptist as a youngster, that people would do that. They would get like themselves worked up. This feeling from it. Oh, that's the whatever you insert whatever you believe in here. And I saw it just as like human bodily, neurons and things are firing, and a self-made prophecy that you're making into reality. I'm not saying people are wrong. I'm just saying that that I can feel faith. I think that feeling is more humanity than it is.
Even if it is either self-deception or jumping too quickly to a conclusion.
Yeah. That's the entire modus operandi of organized religion. Is like, think of the Bible. People are not. How many people do you know have actually read the Bible? Not many. I have, because I was curious. No, instead they're being told what the Bible says. We're gonna get so much hate in this episode. Oh my god! Like, should we leave this religious stuff out or not? Oh my gosh, we're going into a rabbit hole, and then jumping to a conclusion is the absolute. That's what that's organized religion does. It points and says, go there, and you do, and you don't question why or how or anything. You're just told, and that's what organized religion is nowadays. Is you're told what to believe, how to believe it, when to believe it, where to believe it, and in what manner to believe it. Also, give us money, because God needs money, because God needs you to come to a giant building full of gold and diamonds and stuff for some reason, because that's what God wants. God wants the pastor to have a $2 million house and a $50,000 car, because that is what God wants. Think about that. Think about the mega church. Like, people go to these things and believe in these things, and they're told what this book says. But they don't do any research of what Leviticus says. You know what? Leviticus says a lot of shit. It does. Read the fucking chapter in the book. It says a lot and more. If you read Leviticus, no one's getting out safe. No one. There's a lot of stuff you shouldn't be doing that people are doing that they ignore because there's no money in oppressing the entire flock. There's only money in oppressing the minority of the flock that the majority can agree is okay to oppress, because the one line in this book said that, but God forbid we go down like 2 more passages to the other stuff and then go to the other stuff, to the other stuff. Seriously, if you're all about Leviticus and thumping that Bible, I urge you to read the rest of that book. It's fascinating. It's rules. It's rules upon rules upon rules. I feel like I've just alienated a good portion of people that could be my audience.
Or you have been able to figure out which ones really are ones that really would know much more about you and still want to hear from you.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's how you would know if they really are your fans or simply, I suppose, whatever a casual acquaintance fan would be.
I guess fair weather fan.
Yes.
That kind of thing, yeah. So yes, if you believe in what you believe in, I am not saying you're wrong. Again, I know I say this a lot. I want to stress that. I am not someone that thinks opinion is fact. But do I think I'm right to the extent like where a religious person thinks they're right and therefore must persecute and dominate everyone? Because because religious freedom only applies to their religion, that kind of thing. You know, how dare you oppress me when I do nothing but oppress you all? I'm not doing that. Just went off on a tangent. It's a rabbit hole I could go deep, 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 deep down. So somehow it correlated to the episode. Now I forget. Like, it was about, like, faith and...
Yes, which
actually
I was still trying to figure out, because faith would mean something that someone doesn't know.
Right.
So, as far as you know, you could be having faith in one thing, but by saying that it's some sort of feeling but not a fact that you know, there's a possibility that you could be putting all of your faith into something that could turn out to not be the case, or could actually not only be self-fulfilling but even self-destructive.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, faith. Here's another thing that faith does not equal right. It doesn't. Just because you're told what to believe, told how to believe it, and told this is what faith is, does not mean that all these things you're being told and indoctrinated with equals right. I don't think my own ideas on faith mean that I'm right. I just think that my ideas on faith mean that I am coming from a more intellectual place, a more, like, where I can study and analyze, more analytical point of view. Where the people that I know in my life that have faith do not analyze. And I'm not saying they're not intelligent, because that would be rude. But they're not using, like, an intellect to analyze what they believe. They just believe what they believe because they have to. Don't you dare question. And I think that's dangerous.
It could have been an interesting thing to add to the episode, that faith, this notion of it, that it could be used either for one or against one.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
there could have been an instance or two in which it turned out that it would have happened against them and to Satan's favor.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, and I think I just remembered what I was talking about. I think that would have been, like, I think me going on this little mini rant here just shows how deep the pool can be that they had to pull from for the Doctor and his own questioning his own faith and own crisis of identity. There was a lot to work with here that I think they really could have, to bring it back full circle, that I think they really could have made this a 3-parter easily, and just given the Doctor, the character of the Doctor, more depth and just a more struggle. Like, he saunters cockily through everything into the situation and out of this. He is in the TARDIS at the end being smug as shit. And I like the Doctor, I do, but it's just, this was the perfect opportunity to have some humility, to have some questioning, to have some doubt, instead of being always right and always thinking like your hypothesis is always the right one and your guess is always the right one. Like, you're not guessing, you're just, deducing correctly every single time. And I know people are going to be like, well, he didn't do this right, he didn't do this right, he didn't do this right. No, I'm not saying it's like 100%. Obviously, he doesn't know where to put the TARDIS at in time perfectly. How many episodes have been that, where it's like, oh, it's actually 1950, whatever, or whatever. It's like, oh, we're not in New York, we're in London somehow, because I can do it. I'm saying his attitude is very smug, very cocky, very arrogant. And this was the perfect opportunity to have some humility, questioning, doubt. And I wish they'd done that. I really wish they'd done that.
They could have also, on the subject of the faith, they could have had the notion that it isn't simply to have it, what are you doing with it? Because that would have, for example, in the times that they would have had it, but then it turned out to not be in their favor, that they could have once or twice, they had faith in something, but it turned out it was in Satan's favor. But then they would have had it another time, and it could have been in their favor because they were going about it the wrong way. But if they do it in a more calculated way, then using probability of what would be in their favor, they would have had a better chance. And somehow managing to escape, that would have very likely have been a very interesting episode.
Yeah, which would play back into what I was saying. Like, if the Doctor had this idea on faith or whatever, and it worked out in Satan's favor, boom, crisis of conscience, questioning, doubt. Something that simple would have been perfect. I think would have added a lot more oomph to the story.
And also potentially offer a future episode with, yes, they escape, but Satan also escaped.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
it would lead the possibility of a future episode when they'll meet again.
Yeah. Satan got defeated pretty easily for having all this time to plan and calculate. And I'm worn out. Like my body's just like, I got all riled up.
Well, that's pretty much what I can say about this episode. What about you?
I've said everything I need to say about this episode, and then some, and then some. There's some stuff in this. I don't know if I'm going to leave in this. Maybe I'll do a director's cut for Patreon of this this review, so I don't alienate everyone. Like, there's so much more I want to say about it, but I don't want to go on a faith. I don't want to go on a faith rant anymore than I already have. So
I suppose then that's it for tonight.
Yeah. So nothing else to add on this one. Alrighty. I'm gonna get something to drink because holy crap, I talked to myself. Whew. I'm all like that endorphin. I feel the spirit in me.
Yes, and it's telling you to get something to drink.
Yeah, it's telling me to get something to drink. Oh no. I can feel the heat from the torches already. It's fine though. It's all I know. Even witches have to burn. Well, I was gonna wrap this one up in whatever context I keep this in the end. If it's all in one video, or if I do a director's cut for Patreon, leaving out the really ranty going down that rabbit hole. Sometimes you need to be careful how far you follow Alice. So I think I pulled myself out of that one before I went too deep. But as always, I don't have a fancy outro, so I'll simply say thank you for watching, whatever version of this you are, and we will see you in the next one, episode 10. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye. Well, that was unexpected.
I got animated. Like, my feelings on religion are so decisive and divisive at the same time.
Is not any subject of religion, though? Now that you mention it.
Much, yeah.